Hello everyone, I don't know if you've seen, but they have recently published a new item guide, the official item guide. I got sent it earlier, but because I'd already done a video on it and there wasn't anything that was like wildly different, I decided that I couldn't be bothered to make a whole new video on the same topic. But if you want to go and read those new items with the official descriptions, then I'll link that in the description below. Most of the stuff that came from the translated version, the translated Chinese version, was correct. There was a couple of things on Essence Reaver that weren't quite adequately explained, which you can go and check out, but mostly explained. And you've already seen things like Solari Chargeblade, etc., etc. But most of the stuff that came from the translated version turned out to be relatively correct. There was only a couple of things here and there. Of course, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. There is a reference link in the description below. And also, I am doing a poll on my community tab right now. Go and check it out. Essentially, after you've watched this video, vote for who you think is the biggest winner from these item changes on the next patch. There'll be some options there that might confuse you, but feel free. I'm going to go through this video. I'm going to explain. So the concept of this video is easy. I'm going to use this little matrix and I'm going to organize champions that I think benefit from the new items. I'm not going to cover every champion. I'm only going to cover champions that are like strictly worth talking about. But for the most part, I'm going to place the champions on this little grid. If they are high up, they are winners with the new items. If they're over to the left, they're not ban-worthy. If they're over to the right, they are ban-worthy. Because, of course, even if you're a winner from the new items, it doesn't necessarily make that champion automatically OP. It might just make them better, which is why I've got this secondary scale here. Mostly going to be focusing on AD champions. I'm not going to really focus on AP champions because only one new item came out for them, and realistically, it's good on a lot of mages. So because there's only one new AP item, I'm not going to really massively focus on AP champions. I'm mostly going to focus on champions that benefit from all of the new Critical Strike and AD items. So we're going to start off with Ashe. Ashe is what we call like an on-hit AD carry. She really benefits from Blade of the Ruined King thanks to her first skill, Volley, and also her Volley obviously is great for controlling teamfights. There are definitely some items that she is going to benefit from, but I don't think there are going to be any items that are going to make her massively OP. She is someone that's kind of mediocrely benefited from the items. I think she's got definitely a decent amount better, but suddenly she's not going to suddenly become ridiculously strong, I don't think. So that's going to put her somewhere over here. She's a winner. She's a little bit of a winner, but she's not ban-worthy. So that's my my decision around Ashe. Okay, Draven. Draven is mainly benefiting from one item change, and that is the Bloodthirster item change. He's also going to have a great time with Essence Reaver, Solari Chargeblade, Stormrazor is a great item for him as well, but mostly this 25% critical rate. Draven really doesn't like building attack speed critical strike items. Draven's not really an attack speed orientated carry. He's someone that really benefits from just having base AD and crit. Some Draven builds would build like 2 or 3 Infinity Edges because crit plus just a lot of AD really worked out well for Draven. Bloodthirster, Essence Reaver, Solari Chargeblade is okay, but doesn't give any AD, so maybe not. But Stormrazor, 25 AD. These items are going to make Draven absolutely nutty. And with the recent buff, Draven is like the biggest winner, and he's almost going to be ban-worthy for me because I think he's going to be absolutely broken with some of these items. I really think Draven has massively benefited from these items, and I think he's going to do very, very well. Ezreal. Okay, Ezreal. And the reason I'm skipping people like Camille and Darius is they're not the type of people that would build critical strike based items most of the time. You might see some of those builds pop up, but I don't think they're going to be massively popular. Ezreal. So he likes to build Triforce or Iceborne Gauntlet. He doesn't classically go down a heavy critical strike bit pathway, although there may be some place there with an Essence Reaver and Solari Chargeblade build. In fact, speaking of Solari Chargeblade, using ability grants critical strike rate. So Solari, I think there is some winning moments there for Ezreal, but he also does need Sheen, and Blade of the Ruined King still feels like a relatively core item for him. And so Ezreal is he's definitely a little bit of a winner. I think probably on par with, maybe a little bit above Ashe, because I think there are like Essence Reaver additions to his kit that's going to be really good. And obviously, the higher that you keep your mana with Essence Reaver, the better the Mura mana procs are going to be. So Ezreal is winning a little bit for sure, maybe a little bit high. I don't think he's ban worthy. I think there are, you're getting some small additions to Ezreal's build. Like, you're still going to have to go Mura mana, you're still going to have to go Triforce, but adding an Essence Reaver really does complement his kit really nicely. So you could go like Essence Reaver into Infinity Edge or Essence Reaver into Solari Charge Blade. Like, he's got some really cool builds there that I think he will benefit from, but he's not going to be suddenly OP. I just think that he's a bit of a winner. He's not massively ban worthy. I think he's going to be in a good spot. Fiora. Is there a realm where we could see Fiora build a critical strike based pathway because of Bloodthirsty? Yes, there is. She's very, very strong. I think she's a small winner, and I'm almost certainly going to be continuing to ban Fiora because I still think she's in a really strong spot. I think she's a small winner, and she'll remain ban worthy for me as a Baron lane main. I think Bloodthirster has opened up some interesting build paths for Fiora. It may be that Fiora massively benefits from this, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I think she's winning, and I think she's ban worthy still because she's still going to be very strong in the Baron lane. There are some changes that are coming that I think I've seen that will cut her down a little bit. Not really to do with Fiora, but you'll see it when we get to the patch notes. Okay, Graves. I think Graves is a winner. I think Graves is a pretty big winner, actually. Stormrazor is a huge addition for him. And I think also, like, the Bloodthirster with the critical strike is going to give him lots of health regen. It remains to be seen whether he's ban-worthy or not. I think I can't really predict that because obviously we haven't seen much Graves in the meta right now. There are some changes that I will tell you about that... Okay, I have seen the patch notes, actually, and I'm going to be more honest. I think Graves is going to be really strong on the next patch. I do think Graves is going to be really strong. There is an element to me that's thinking that he's quite ban-worthy, probably in line with Fiora. I can't really tell you about the changes, but just hear me out. Graves is very likely going to be quite strong this patch, and he will definitely be, in my eyes, a top-tier jungler. So watch out for Graves in the next patch. I think he's going to be super strong. Jhin. Okay. So, Stormrazor is a great item for Jhin. And I think, actually, there are some items that have really opened up some interesting build paths for Jhin. I don't think he's going to suddenly become ban-worthy, but I do think he's a little bit of a winner on this patch. Just because Stormrazor's good, and adding Critical Strike to Bloodthirster is fantastic for him as well. So I think that Jhin definitely coming out as a winner. I maybe underrate how much of a winner Jhin is here, but it's very difficult to tell because Jin's one of those AD carries that'll either be really good or really meh. But I definitely think he's coming out as a pretty significant winner from this patch. Jinx. Maybe Jhin a bit more of a winner than Jinx. Jinx. I think Jinx is coming out as a winner this patch. She's got Stormrazor and she's got Bloodthirster. Not massively, like, I'd say probably in realms of like Ezreal Ash area. She's probably not ban-worthy, but she's definitely winning a little bit. Maybe not as hard as some of the other AD carries. If we look at some of these items, Bloodthirster is great for her. You're probably not that bothered about Solari Charge Blade. Stormrazor is great for her. That's about it. Like, Stormrazor and Bloodthirster are like the two things that are going to make Jinx pretty strong. But Jinx was already quite strong, right? So she's kind of like teetering towards the middle. Like, Jinx is already quite strong, and I think in low elo she'll be really, even better, to be honest with you. So Jinx in a good spot. Why am I wearing my headset? I really don't need to wear my headset. I've got no music on. Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa really, is a good pick with Essence Reaver. I think she's already doing pretty well. There aren't many items here. I think maybe Solari Charge Blade would be an interesting item for Kai'Sa. I think Navori Quick Blades could be a really interesting item for Kai'Sa. So I think Kai'Sa's probably winning pretty hard off the back of this. Like, you think about, so she's a very caster-orientated AD carry, so you're going to be building up a lot of stacks with that, and she does love attack speed. And Navori Quick Blades, ability haste, resetting cooldown on her first ability, her second ability, and her third ability are all fantastic. She loves all of those in team fights. So I think Navori Quick Blades is going to be a really great item for Kai'Sa. I think maybe she's winning pretty hard. I don't know how ban-worthy she's going to be. I should probably move Jhin in line with her. She's probably on the same line as Jhin, but she's winning a bit harder with the item changes. I think she's in a really good spot. You'll see me move things a little round. Okay, right. Master Yi. He is a massive winner. massive winner. Like, Master Yi is up there as like massive winner, but I don't know how ban worthy he's going to be. I still think he's going to have the problems that he has in high elo. I don't think these items are going to make him any like instantly better in high elo, but these items are massively good for Master Yi. So low elos, beware. Master Yi is actually going to be in a pretty solid spot with these items, and we're going to have to see how strong he is. The reason I put him in the middle is I don't know how ban worthy he's going to be. I can't say that he's going to be an automatic ban, but if he reaches certain power spikes too quickly, or these new items help him accelerate too quickly, then obviously Master Yi needs to be looked at. But he is, no doubt about it, a huge winner from this patch. Who else? Misfortune. Essence Reaver is a great item for Misfortune. Anything with flat critical strike and lifesteal, etc., really good for Misfortune. I would say she's a pretty good winner. Probably in the lines of like Jin, Kai'Sa, and etc. I'm probably going to have to space them out a little bit. She benefits a lot from the items that you're seeing getting picked up. Whether she's ban worthy or not remains to be seen how oppressive she ends up being in lane. She still has been nerfed pretty hard over the recent patches. Probably not that massively ban worthy, but she is a big winner from the items that are coming out from this patch. Any caster type AD carries are going to be big winners from the patch that is coming up. Okay, have I missed anyone here? I don't think I've missed anyone here that would be an obvious critical strike user. Jax isn't really critical strike. He's in the lines of like, you know, there might be build paths that open up for like people like Jax and Camille, but I can't say for sure right now. Olaf, not really a critical strike user. He's someone that's more focused in the same realms of like Darius and Camille. Okay, Teemo AD carry. I mean, Tryndamere, big winner. Same, basically the similar as Yi. They're two big winners. I don't know how ban worthy they'll be yet. I can only really assess ban worthy on like stuff that I know. But Master Yi and Tryndamere, massive winners in this scenario. Teemo AD carry. I mean, it's like any other AD carry, right? If you're playing AD Teemo, the problem is like. The problem with AD Teemo, like I'd say that Wit's End helps, but AD Teemo often ends up being more on-hit orientated. So I wouldn't say that he's like winning or losing here. I'd say he's not really losing anything, right, Teemo? But he's not massively winning. I'd say that he's definitely not ban worthy, but he's gaining some. That's too hard winning for Teemo. He's not ban worthy for sure, but he's gaining a little bit out of this patch. Varus, critical strike Varus isn't often a thing, and he definitely benefits more from on hit, so he's not really losing anything this patch. But I'd say that, you know, Varus is winning slightly, but not massively. Like the lethality Varus isn't getting anything, but of course he can make use of the new items. You know, a critical strike Varus is a thing, but it's probably not going to be as strong as some of the other critical strike additions. Vayne's getting something like Wit's End, which is pretty cool. And she is getting some new critical strike options. So she's definitely winning a little bit. And whether she's ban worthy, I don't think so. But she is definitely winning a little bit here. I'm going to move these guys around a little bit. Vayne's winning quite a bit. Probably not ban worthy, but she's winning. You know, she's getting some new items that definitely help her out. Yasuo, also winning, and I think could definitely be ban worthy. In fact, anything, I probably will be banning Yasuo. I think he's winning pretty extensively. I think these new items really benefit Yasuo. And I also think he's probably going to be up there on my bans. I think Yasuo is definitely winning hard here. Zed, losing really hard. I think Zed might be the biggest loser of this patch. The reason Zed might be the biggest loser of this patch is because the crystalline, crystalline reflect is coming out. And there is almost, apart from... Serelda's Grudge, which is a decent item for him, so maybe he's not losing that hard. He's losing a little bit. He's pretty much losing everything else. Now there might be with Navori Quick Blades, there may end up being like a critical strike Zed build path that we go for, but it might take a little bit too long to scale. But on the outset, it looks like Zed's losing. I might be proven wrong if someone ends up playing like a critical strike style Zed, but Zed is very much focused on his abilities rather than just chaining basic attacks together. And so there is no real extra additions for lethality apart from Serelda's Grudge. And I think for the most part, especially with Crystalline Reflector, Zed is losing out pretty extensively here. Corki's winning. I think Corki's doing really well with Essence Reaver. I think he's, again, another one of these caster-style AD carries that's going to end up doing really well. Might end up being ban-worthy, I don't know, but he's definitely going to benefit from things like Solari Chargeblade, Storm Razor, Essence Reaver, Bloodthirster. Like, Corki loves, and Navori Quick Blades. Like, Corki loves these items, and it's probably going to be really strong off the back of this patch. So I expect to see a decent amount of Corki thought of here. Xayah winning winning, but maybe not ban-worthy. I think Xayah is one of those that are winning really hard, but might not end up being ban-worthy. In fact, anything probably less ban-worthy, probably along the lines of these guys. I think Xayah is winning really hard off the back of these items. I think they're great additions for her. Essence Reaver, all that kind of stuff. She's very caster-orientated. Navori Quick Blades, Xayah is going to absolutely love. So I think Xayah is winning really hard off the back of these items. Tristana. Items that are good for her. I think she's also winning pretty hard off the back of these items. I think she's still missing lethal tempo to make her really good, but I expect Tristana to be, a pretty decent winner off the back of these patches. Anybody else here? Rengar. Well, I'm putting Rengar smack bang in the middle. He's losing lethality options, but he is gaining critical strike options. So it remains to be seen where Rengar ends up with these items. I think he is gaining some stuff, but he's also losing out, compared to a lot of other lethality type carries. There's nothing really there for him. Plus, Crystalline Reflect does make it harder for him to assassinate mages, so he's probably losing a little bit. But he is overall gaining some other options, which we don't know how good they're going to be, but we'll have to see. Kha'Zix, he's definitely losing. He gains nothing other than Seralda's Grudge. Not to say that, I think Kha'Zix is going to end up being a bit more ban-worthy than... he's a bit more ban-worthy than Zed, for sure. But he's not really gaining anything. He still remains as like a relatively good high-elo jungler, probably. But, things like Crystalline Reflector will make it harder for him to kill mages, that's for certain. Pantheon, probably not ban-worthy, losing just as hard as Zed. He's gaining up. He's gaining nothing. You don't really play Critical Strike Pantheon, that's for sure. Lucian, definitely winning. Probably up here in the likes of the Xayah level winning. Might be ban-worthy. Absolutely. I might have to put him in over here. I think he's more in line with here. I think Lucian's definitely one of those carries that's really, really winning off the back of this. Riven, she doesn't really play Critical Strike. She's definitely... I think Bloodthirster... I think it's like... I actually think Riven loses off the back of this. She does, because she's not really basic attack focused. She does chain basic attacks into kit, but she's not using them consistently. But Bloodthirster and Navori Quick Blades might open up something for Riven. I'll put her here. I think she's losing because she's losing AD on Bloodthirster, which is one of her core items. There might be a build path with Navori Quick Blades, Infinity Edge, and Bloodthirster that opens up for Riven. Or Essence Reaver, to make her abilities crit. But overall, I think she's losing out a little bit because they don't feel great items for her. So I'd say that Riven's losing out a little bit. Senna, she doesn't really build Critical Strike. She's not a Critical Strike person. She's losing Frozen Mallet. I think Senna's losing, actually. I don't think Senna's gaining really anything from this patch. Seralda's Grudge is a decent option for her, so maybe I'm being a bit harsh. But, she has to go back to Iceborne Gauntlet now, so Frozen Mallet's out the window, and that means Senna's losing a lot of her viability. And she doesn't really benefit from any of the new AD items. You don't really play Critical Strike Senna, because her attack speed's so slow, so you don't really benefit from building any attack speed on her either. It might be that the Critical Strike helps because you're going to get a lot of lifesteal in your kit. So maybe there are some cool item build paths that we can play as AD carry Senna, but I'd say that she's still losing. She's probably more bannable than most of these champions, but she's probably losing overall here. Irelia. I would say Irelia loses, honestly. I still think Irelia is going to remain a really strong pick, but I'd say that Irelia in general loses here. She's not really a Critical Strike build path type of carry. She's a bit more along the lines of Camille. She likes to build Triforce, etc. But there are windows, I think, that you could see maybe Navori Quick Blades come in. Same with Camille, actually. I might put Camille on this list. I think Camille in general is losing out with these items. Well, when I say that, with Irelia and Camille, I say they're not really gaining or losing anything because not many of their items are actually being affected. But they might have some cool build paths that open up to them, and that's why we should probably consider them. But they're not really gaining or losing anything from this patch. Renekton, again, not really gaining or losing anything, but I'd say, just not. He's probably smack bang. Renekton's probably the one guy that comes out of this completely unaffected. There's almost nothing that's changed here that's going to influence Renekton massively. Crystalline Reflector maybe, but for the most part, he's got stuff in his kit that's exactly the same. Wukong, probably not. He's more tanky these days. I'm having a look at Jax. Like I said, Blade of the Ruin King type of guy. I'm only doing this because these people, there is some element of like Navori quick blades that opens up some interesting build paths for these guys. But it might make them too squishy overall. I'm unsure. Right. So that about rounds it out for my winners and losers of this patch. Maybe Varus deserves to be a bit more. He's probably more ban-worthy than he's probably more ban-worthy in general than Ashe. That about rounds out my kind of who's winning and who's losing off the back of this patch. There we go. I hope you found it interesting. I think there's going to be some really interesting item changes, and I do apologize, guys, for not getting videos out. The new job has been kicking my butt. I have got an episode of Doctor coming out tomorrow. Wild Rift Doctor coming out tomorrow, so hopefully that will placate you guys a little bit. But I've just been getting kicked. My butt has been getting kicked by work. New job's going really well. I love it, but it's very, very full on. Don't get as much time for videos now. But that's my my thought process about the new items and who's winning and losing. I think again, difficult to predict lots of things, but I think Draven is just like Draven and Yasuo are getting like huge benefits from this patch. Lucian and Graves doing well as well. Maybe Fiora getting a decent amount of options coming out of this patch as well. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Probably a little bit lower actually. But yeah, hopefully you guys found this interesting, and we'll have to see if any of my predictions do come true on the next patch. We'll see. All right, see you soon.